Okay, I've got a number of people who are standing here today. Of course, we have Council Member Mike Laster representing District J, and we're going to be specifically talking about District J today. We have Council Member Brenda Stoddick from District A. We have County Attorney Vince Ryan, who's here, and I've got Police Chief Art Acevedo, who is here as well. We have the pastor of Higher Dimensions Church, Pastor Terrence Johnson, is with us. And we have Selena Vinson, who is the Deputy Managing Attorney of the Harris County Attorney's Office. And then I think we got a few others that will be introduced as we move forward. This morning, the Harris County Attorney's Office, with my knowledge and full support, filed an injunction to stop and prevent prostitution in Southwest Houston, specifically the Bissonnet area. Prostitution and other sex-related crimes run rampant in the area known as the Track, or, quote, the Bissonnet Track, unquote. This area is listed as Houston's red light district on international websites. For years, residents and business owners in this area have complained about the large number of people buying and selling sex and committing other crimes on or around the track. It has become truly rampant in that area. I want to commend Harris County Attorney Vince Ryan and his team, Selena Vinson, for the work that they have done, and his team for taking this unprecedented step. Prostitution is not a victimless crime. Prostitution objectifies women, is tied to sex trafficking, destroys people's lives, and can lead to further abdication and destruction of men, women, and children. Also, I fail to acknowledge Manel Patel Davis over my Human Trafficking Division. Manel, thank you. Unfortunately, with prostitution comes other offenses like sexual assault, robbery, and weapon offenses. Even worse are the defendants who exploit people and profit from their criminal activity. Houston is at the forefront of targeting traffickers and pimps. Police Chief Art Acevedo and his officers deserve recognition for continuing to patrol, prevent, and arrest those individuals engaging in criminal activity on and around the track. And I certainly want to thank Chief Acevedo and all of his police officers for their work. I want to make sure that the Bissonnet area is safe for residents and their families, and for the businesses and the churches that exist in that area. My office has partnered with community and faith-based organizations to clean up the area and offer other services. Every Houstonian deserves to live in a neighborhood where you can visit your family or go to dinner without seeing or being approached by prostitution. This is a place where people go to work, to school, to church, to shop, to eat. The civil action today was filed against 86 defendants, and my office has ensured that there is an opt-out for those caught in the commercial sex industry seeking services. And the point that I want to stress is what's being taken here today is a holistic approach. It's not a one-step deal. I certainly want to thank the county and what they've done in filing the injunction. But we also want to acknowledge the work being done by our faith-based institutions and others, and work that's being done to eradicate human trafficking. That's why I certainly want to acknowledge Minnow and her work. It's all of these different stakeholders working together. The opt-out provision, which I'm going to ask Mino to speak about a little bit later, allows individuals, let's say in this 86, to opt out if they're seeking a better way of life. We want to help them to transition from what's occurring at the moment. My office has also worked to ensure that potential defendants that are already seeking services are excluded from the filing. Not only is my office and HPD addressing the issue head-on, so are our civil counterparts, such as the County Attorney's Office. And then again, I'm sorry, Ron Lewis, I want to acknowledge the City County Attorney that's over there as well. I didn't see him over there. The combination of these civil and criminal tools is what is needed to protect the public, the police, and the victims of sexual assault and trafficking. Now let me step aside and recognize Vince Ryan, the Harris County Attorney, and to thank him for the steps that he and his office are already taken.
Let me just repeat some of the things that the mayor just said. Selena Vincent, Assistant County Attorney who's in charge of these efforts, will go into some of the more details of what we're trying to accomplish by this. But some of you might remember I used to be on Houston City Council and represented District C, which was in the great southwest part of Houston. And part of the challenge is we live in the biggest unzoned city in America. You have beautiful residential areas, beautiful university areas, beautiful churches and faith-based organizations that unfortunately have to deal 24 hours, 7 days a week with prostitution going on in the area. As the mayor said, many times the prostitutes are victims themselves. And what we seek to do with this injunction is to take another step in trying to help the community, help the victims, help the totality of everybody who's working to make our city a better place and our county a better place. So with that, let me let Chief Acevedo talk about some of the particulars.
Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership and obviously for supporting this. And Mr. Vincent, thank you so much for this as well. And Selena, all your hard work. You know, protecting women is really an important part of what we do at the Houston Police Department, protecting vulnerable women that too often are the victims of violent pimps. The Bissonnet Track, unfortunately and sadly, like the mayor said, is known nationally as an area where you can come and find and engage in prostitution. Unfortunately, pimps are taking advantage of these women. They're beating them. When we did a march a few months ago, we actually went up and talked to them. I went up and talked to them. Chief Finner, who's back here, went up and talked to them. We saw 3 of the ones that we talked to. You could see evidence of physical abuse from their pimps. And so this is not about targeting women. It's about creating an environment where it makes it harder for pimps to victimize these young women whose lives are stolen from their families, and it's about protecting them. Unfortunately, in this case, in this zone, here are the stats, just so you all know. 3,800 criminal instances were reported in the zone from 2016 to today. 965, or 25% of those criminal instances, were for prostitution in the area. Out of the 86 defendants that have been identified in the civil lawsuit that was, I believe, filed this morning by the county attorney, 13 of the 86 are traffickers, 22 are buyers, and 51 are sellers. All have been arrested more than once in the zone for prostitution and or other sexual-related assault crimes, offenses. The defendants in the zone have been charged with trafficking, aggravated assault, prostitution, compelling prostitution, weapons offenses, narcotics offenses, criminal trespass, and other nuisance activities. Sellers of the sex walk up and down the streets all day long, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When we did our last march, they weren't even afraid of the police. A lot of them just stuck around. Pimps and traffickers, unfortunately, drop off their victims on Bissonnet and control and threaten these women. They harm them physically, psychologically, they abuse them. Unfortunately, buyers come in this area, and they're a big part of the problem. That's why we need to deal with not just the supply, but we need to deal with the demand. And these activities ultimately have an impact on the quality of life of everyone that lives, works, and visits the Bissonnet area. The Houston Police Department, we've got Captain Dale from Vice here. We've got Chief Finner, Chief Slinkard here. I see Captain Fallhaber from Westside. This is just one tool in the tool chest, an additional tool in the tool chest to help restore the quality of life for our residents and hopefully to recover some of these victims and get them back on track. Every month, HPD conducts initiatives and investigations to reduce criminal activity in the zone. Thousands of hours of patrol hours and thousands of dollars in initiatives are spent in that area. Officer safety is obviously at risk. Men and pimps, that some are men, some are women, that actually are willing to beat people and help them against their will, are a danger not just to those women, they're a danger to the officers involved. And most importantly, for this case is I'm really glad that the mayor insisted that we be thoughtful in terms of the opt-out provision. Because I think Manel and other folks will talk about it's important that victims be treated as victims. It's important that from a restorative justice standpoint, a criminal, even one that's not a victim, someone that engages in prostitution, even if they're not being compelled to do so, if they decide to make a change in their life, that our partners and the NGOs, including the Landing and other folks, that we can let them opt out of this lawsuit. And I think it's also important to note that the county attorney's office has been very thoughtful in the way they put this together. All 86 defendants will have due process. All 86 defendants will be served with this suit individually, and all 86 defendants will have an opportunity to be heard by a judge, and the judge will have the opportunity to make 86 different rulings that are based on not one big broad brush, but they're truly based on the criminal actions and criminal intent of the people that have been identified. Let me just close by talking about, real quick, 4 different people, and that is the pimps. Lawrence Grice, Maria Diaz, Xavier Cook, and Javian Papillon. Lawrence Grice is on bond for 1, trafficking, 2, sexual assault of a child under 17, 3, compelling prostitution in this zone. He is a documented gang member and has a rap sheet that is probably can account for the rap sheets of 10 people combined. It's so long. Maria Diaz is on PR bond for felony compelling of prostitution. So she's out on a personal bond for compelling women to prostitute themselves.
Minors, too.
Minors. Wow. Thank you for pointing that out. For compelling minors. This is a person that's out on a PR bond for compelling minors in prostitution. Xavier Cook spent 2 years on deferred probation for aggravated promotional prostitution in this zone in 2013. He was arrested again in 2017 for compelling prostitution and was sentenced to 150 days. He is currently out of jail. So he's compelling women in the prostitution. He got a sum of 150 days. And then lastly, Javian Papillon is out on bond for aggravated assault. He is charged with brutally beating a woman after she refused to work for him on the Bissonnet Strip. Luckily, she was able to get away from him, and because we work with the mayor's office to actually get these women and get them help, she's hopefully on the way to recovery. So I just want to close, Mayor, by saying again, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for supporting this. You know, we know we've had gang injunction before, and there's a lot of drama with that. I will just close by saying we're trying to do the right thing for the right reasons, and I have a confidence with the leadership of the county attorney, the city attorney, and the mayor that if we have to adjust this, we will adjust this. But please know what we're trying to do is restore the lives of these women and restore the quality of life for our residents in that area. So thank you again.
I don't know if the lights are brighter in this room. It just seems hotter today than it's ever been. I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Jack Christie.
Yes.
Back here. Let me now turn to someone who can specifically speak about this area. He can introduce other people who may be here that I didn't introduce, and that's Councilmember Mike Laster. Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to each and every one of you for being here today. Let me just begin by saying, wow. It's wow. Today is the culmination of years, and I mean years, of efforts by HPD, by the Greater Sharpstown Management District, by SEAL Security, by Higher Dimension Church, by ICANN Academy, by the Landing, by citizens, by homeowners, by apartment owners, by business owners, and by children that every day are victimized by this trafficking that happens in Southwest Houston. I've been honored to serve as council member now since 2012, and we have been looking for ways, Sue, every day to take the next step, to build upon the foundation that needs to happen here to protect those victims, in addition to the victims of those ladies and other persons that have been trafficked here. Let me just particularly thank the Harris County Attorney's Office, who have been phenomenal partners with the management district over these past several years, whether it be going after apartment complexes or whether it be going after hotels that are known centers of activity. Today is a very important day And this is a much-needed step. Mayor, this has been percolating for a long time, and I can't thank you enough for pulling out all the stops to make sure that all of the players were at the table to provide as holistic a response as we possibly can to this issue. It's phenomenal. So let me just say that I am hopeful today that this will be a successful next stop. You can look at that zone, and inside that zone are not just businesses and all the people that I've talked about, but those are the hopes and prayers of a lot of people who are trying to build a better life. And the best way for that is to give them a neighborhood in which their kids can go out and play in the front yard. To give them a neighborhood that when they back out of their driveway in the morning, they don't have to be confronted with what they see every day. So Chief, HPD and Captain Dale and his predecessors and Captain Fallhaber and the West Side Command Station, they've been doing yeoman's work. But I'm just hopeful that this new tool will help us do everything we need to take this task to the next step. But it really comes down to this business being about a business of supply and demand, if I can be crude about that. And I hope that with this announcement today, Mayor, County Attorney, City Attorney, I hope with this announcement today, we're sending a clear message to the demand section of this business that we're closing this operation down. That this part of Houston is no longer open for this kind of business. And if you have to go somewhere else to do it, more power to you. Because we are standing united, and I am greatly hopeful, and I am greatly thankful for the work that has gotten us here today. And I know that we're all committed to taking this to the next step, to revitalizing this neighborhood, saving this neighborhood, and Mayor, creating an opportunity that you have promised for the whole city. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Member. And let me call on Pastor Terrence Johnson, the pastor of Higher Dimension. Higher D is what we call it. That's right at the epicenter of this area. Pastor Terrence Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Last 19 years, we have called the Westwood community home. And for 19 years, we brought people into the faith. For 19 years, we brought hope to the community by facilitating hundreds of outreach efforts for girls caught in prostitution, in drugs, and helping families with needs. However, one of the issues that still looms large on the streets of Westwood is prostitution. From early in the morning to midday, to late at night, but it must stop. We can no longer drive by hoping it will go away, but rather we must roll up our sleeves and become willing participants to make our community a better place. And Mayor, that's why I'm excited about this administration. I'm excited about your leadership. I'm excited about this new injunction. We prayed, we fasted, and we believe. And I'm also excited about the new announcement of our peace plan for Westwood. Higher D, we're shifting our focus to not just inside, but also outside. We're bringing peace to Westwood. Peace is an acronym. Plant churches to promote reconciliation, equip servant leaders, assist the poor, care for the sick, and educate the next generation of leaders. This will not happen alone. We know it's going to take diligence, resources, collaboration from the government, people who live in Westwood, neighboring communities, and business owners. We will need consistent presence and policing in the Westwood community, reform and resources for women found trapped in prostitution, health and wellness programs that specifically promotes mental health awareness and recreation for our youth, community redevelopment for better living, better environments for those who live in Westwood, better parks, better stores, better apartments, and home living, workforce, educational training for the Hispanic community, second chance job opportunities for those previously incarcerated, leadership, and mentoring for young men. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about a new Westwood. I'm excited because we're getting ready to create a place where people can walk down the street without fear, a place where children can get a quality education, a place where children can play without witnessing prostitution, a place where companies would desire to bring their businesses to the community without having to worry about being broken into, a place where residents can have dignity about where they live, a place where people who have hit hard times can get back on their feet, a place where people can come and experience God at higher dimension. The time is now. I'm looking for peacemakers. It look like we found some peacemakers who's ready to bring peace to the Westwood community. Amen. People ask me, why did you stay? And I told them, because I'm a fighter. I told them I stayed because some people went, but I was sent to Westwood. And as the moment like this have been created, I find joy. Mayor, I wish you would have come a little earlier, though. I thank God for this mayor, his administration, for the officers. And I believe Westwood is going to be a better place, and people are going to be helped. Again, Mayor, thank you for all of the officers. Thank you so much. I'm excited about the new Westwood.
Thank you. And this truly is a collaboration between the county, the city, the faith-based community, the Southwest Management District. I certainly want to acknowledge Fred Bandera. Where's Fred? Yes, sir. He's right behind me. Yes. Let me acknowledge him. He's with the Southwest Management District, so thank you. Now let me bring up Selena Vincent, who is the Deputy Managing Attorney for the Harris County Attorney's Office. Again, certainly want to acknowledge the support of the county and this office for just doing a yeoman's job. Selena.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Yes, there are so many people to thank and have been supportive of this and have been fighting this fight longer than we have. So it is important to talk about the Sheriff's Office as well. They participate in initiatives in this area. Unfortunately, it takes more than one law enforcement agency. So we have Houston Metro, we have the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and of course HPD. And with the leadership of Chief Acevedo, he made this possible. Chief Jones back there, who leads the Vice Division. So it is a huge undertaking. There were hundreds upon thousands of prostitution reports and incidents that occurred there. And we focused on the habitual offenders, the people that law enforcement has to go repeatedly to arrest over and over again, and who are causing a nuisance, a danger, and a hazard to this community. And you have all of these resources and this hope and this love for this community, and we should be the ones shining through, not the criminal offenders. Unfortunately, they're the ones winning now, and we want to take back this part of town. We want to change the reputation. No longer is Bissonnet the track. No longer is this an area to go buy women. And the pimps especially, they don't get arrested in the zone. They're smarter than that, right? All of the other defendants have been arrested in that small area. That is actually a small area when you consider Houston. The pimps are smart enough, they stay off the beaten path, and they're the most dangerous. And we don't want them to come back into that zone ever. We think they belong in jail. And so we are excited to put on this evidence and to put an end to this and to bring the peace to this community. So thank you. Of course, Vince Ryan, we've been fighting these fights, these civil nuisance abatement actions. We've sued at least 4 motels in that area, massage parlors, restaurants, spas. This is just another tool and another way to go after it. And sometimes you have to go after the people. Sometimes the business owners are saying, please help us. And I've personally spoken to the principal of the elementary. She's begging for help. She says, her kids have been dropped off at school and seen women thrown out of cars. I personally took this picture the morning I went to visit with her. That's 10 o'clock in the morning, and that lady was standing there, and cars were just circling her. She got picked up. She got dropped off. That's what the kids see. And so, again, we got to take back this community. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Councilmember Stardig, Councilmember Laster, and their support has been unwavering too, and Meenal Davis and her expertise and knowledge for the opt-out and trafficking victims, and it's a collaborative effort. Thank you.
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge Metro and Chief Bumpers for their participation in this effort as well. We talked about the opt-out provision that's a part of this injunction. Let me bring Amina Patel Davis to speak to that and other services that will be provided to these victims.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the County Attorney's Office, of course, our Chief and the Sheriff's Office, HPD, and all of the good work they do in this area. It has come to a point where the levels of crime that Chief Acevedo, he cited some stats, have required something as creative and innovative as what the County Attorney's Office is doing. From our perspective, it was important to have an opt-out agreement because oftentimes victims of trafficking may appear just to be people that are selling sex, and the force, fraud, and coercion that is behind the scenes isn't visible. So the County Attorney's Office was incredibly reasonable with us. They have worked out an opt-out provision to this filing. It will include services provided by an exemplary organization in that area called The Landing. It's a drop-in center for those trying to leave the commercial sex industry or are victims of trafficking. We also have Love People, Not Pixels, that is willing to provide services for the buyers that may be struggling and need help in this area as well. So those decisions will be made case by case. It'll be dependent on their history of crime. Also, for the victims or potential victims of trafficking, we'll be using a screening tool to assess for that victimization before they're offered this. And the mayor is very supportive of making sure we take a holistic approach, and that's what this is. So while this can seem to some to be punitive, it is a limited area. It has come to a point where something more creative needs to be done, and we are making all of the provisions available for potential victims of trafficking to be addressed in this as well. So we just want to thank them for being so reasonable about that.
Thank you, Mino. The point is enough is enough. So if you're looking at it, this area on an international website, please be forewarned. And then also take note, we're concentrating in this area, but we will go wherever the traffic leads, okay? And I think we fully understand that we have to work collaboratively. So a lot of different stakeholders are working on this area, but we want to clean it up, and we intend to clean it up.